It's an exciting day. It's leading into Chob B'Shvat and Yom Kotzer, Halacha Meruba. So someone asked me a Sheilah this week. It's funny that the first Sheilah is leading into the second Sheilah because last week I mentioned about something and people said, what, yezikiel bred? Who told you it's Hamoitzi? Oh, yeah. So I said, well, I'll talk about it this week. So the Eibush to help that I come home, someone calls me. He says he ordered a machine to germinate wheat and barley. It's a $3,500 machine. So the machine comes to sprout wheat, barley, millet, to sprout things. So it's like a big tin, table, and there's chambers, and water goes in, a different temperature, and okay. So the machine comes to the shop. He's not there. The workers take it down from the UPS truck. And he comes back to the shop, and the whole machine is banged up, and it hasn't been wrapped well. Even you buy a refrigerator, you wonder. Sometimes when you get a merchandise, you wonder if they spent more money on the wrapping or the merchandise itself. And here this thing was totally not wrapped up, and it was banged up. So he calls the company and says, "Well, you signed for it." Helps the Eibishter that he says he looks at the video. And you could see clearly the truck pulling up, thing going up, thing come up, and you can see the thing is broken. Sends them 2-minute clip. Okay, we're sending you another one. We're going to pick up the first one. No problem. Send them the other one. Problem is the other one was also a little banged up. He didn't have patience already to wait, so he has a technician working for him. And 2 hours later, the thing is working good. Baruch Hashem, it's good. It's now 6 weeks. The thing is working terrific. So the worker said that the other piece, they're still not picking it up. UPS is not coming to pick it up. So, and this technician said, you know what, let's try it out. Maybe we can actually fix it and get it working. 10 hours later, thing is working perfectly. 2 machines are working for the price of 1. He gets an email. UPS is coming to pick it up. He's upset. What do you mean? I don't have free storage in my shop. I'm going to store it for you for over a month. And now my technician, there's a skilled worker. I pay him with benefits, close to $30 an hour. He worked 10 hours in it. Why should I give it back? So at first I was thinking, well, a lot of times today when you order something and then it's not good, so they don't want to bother. The shipping is so expensive for them. They tell you to keep it. So first glance, we're thinking, okay, look. So if they say to keep it, it's like a chazaka that it's hefker. If a company tells you, for example, keep it, and then you pick it up and you make a kinyan, they can't change their mind. They can't say, oh, now we got an order and we want it. The question is, can we ascertain that this was really hefker? I asked him to look back at his things, at his records, if he ever asked them to pick it up, did they ever refuse to pick it up? He says he doesn't remember. He looked, he says, no, I don't find anything concrete, any emails back and forth saying, oh, please pick it up, no, we don't want to pick it up, or anything. They just, whatever, they delivered the other piece, and they were dormant about it. So, I'm not so sure that this would be a slam dunk argument, and I don't know the legal things. How long could a company expect to say that it's a normal course of business? It's the next day we're going to send UPS. It takes time till we get around, till we think about it, till we realize. They might, halachically, I'm not sure that to say that there's just because a lot of companies do say you could keep it, but this company didn't say. So to say for sure that they changed their mind, really it was hefker. Really he was coined. I don't know. It's a tough sell. So therefore, I just want, and this person doesn't want to give the machine back. He's really not happy about the treatment.
It cost $3,500.
And he says he doesn't think it cost him more than $350 to make it. And now he spent this amount of money. So here is what I think.
So we're not talking about whether it's hamotzi yezikiel bred or not.
No, we'll get to that soon. I'm just saying it's. Okay, the Gemara says about Matzia, a person that goes into his friend's field and he plants, no permission. Goes into his friend's field, plants. you give him you have to evaluate what he did, and he has the lower hand. In other words, you see what if he spent say $100 and the produce is valued now $50, you give him $50. If he put in work at $100 and the produce is worth $200, you give him $100. You give him the lower amount. You give him as much. How much would a person pay a worker to do this job? That's how much you give him. If it's a soda that was made lita, then you give him more than just yodel taktoina. Mishpat, that's the din of Chosher. Mishpat, ayodel tex deichavedish lebrishus v'not imoya soda asoya lita oimdim kam odam eretz lita mesoda zul noitem v'noitum balabais. We estimate how much would a person pay a skilled worker to come down and do this job. He doesn't get any profit, but whatever he paid, he gets for this. V'meina asoya lita, if this field was not made for lita, shamin lo v'yodel atachtoina. Okay, so.
What if he grew a Australian there? And the guy comes in, supposed to plant into my Australian thing.
Well,
I don't want to pay him for nothing. He lost calls me a half.
Yeah, you could if he calls you a hefset or something else. If you're going to tell him to go rip out the tree, you have the right to do that.
You're not allowed to rip out, of course.
Say you want to build a house there and have whatever. You have the right to tell him. He, on the other hand, doesn't have the right to say, "Oh, you don't want to pay me for it? I'm going to dig out the tree." No, I'm sorry. This is my property.
Is trespassing a type of geneva?
Yeah, but still, it doesn't trump, which is an unbelievable thing. If you go today to secular court and you show them this halacha, they'll laugh you straight out the door, right? Chas v'shalom to go secular court because that's today's chumash. But the question is how a person could deal with this, because let's do one more thing over here, which is the Gemara in Baba Kama. It's unbelievable Gemara. Shorish Yisrael shenagach shorish shel Kanani poter. An ox of a Jew that gores the ox of a Gentile, poter to pay. How many monofshir?
That would really upset the Gentile.
Right. That would. Yes, exactly. How many monofshir? It says Shorish Yisrael. It says in Parsha, in this Parsha, and not Yisrael, Mishpotim, that ki yigach shor I shor eyu, that if the man's ox will gore the ox of his friend, and eyu if it means dafka Jew. If the rules of damage is only between Jew and Jew, so therefore, if a Jewish property damages the goy, it's the Jewish potter. So what's the potter? So the goy should be potter also to pay the Jew for damages. Why? One way only. It's not fair. If you're going to tell me that shore is you always have to pay, so it's both ways. Rabbi answers again. So Gemara has a simple question. If you're going to tell me that there's chayiv to pay, a yid should pay a goy should pay a yid. There's potter, they're potter both ways. The pasuk says, the Eibishter gave Sheva mitzvahs to the goyim. He saw that they're not keeping it, so he said, "You know what? I'm not gonna protect their money. I'm not protecting their money. I give the Jews rules, they keep it, I'll protect their money. Goyim, give them rules, they don't keep it, I won't protect their money." Rabbi Yochanan says, "No, we don't learn it from here, we learn it from a different place." The Gemara says that there was a time in the Talmud that the government sent a whole bunch of scholars to learn monetary issues from the Jews, how to settle monetary issues with the Jews. The Gemara says then, and they said, "Wow, it was brilliant." But they said one thing we will not inform the government is this halacha. We'll do you a favor. They said to Chazal, "We'll do you a favor, and we won't inform them of this halacha." But all the other ones are so equitable, they're so good, they make a lot of sense. The Rabbi Yochanan says that they went to every nation and asked them, "Do you want the Torah?" And they said, "No, we're not interested in the Torah." So the Eibush said, "You're not interested in the Torah? Okay, fine. Okay, well we're gonna get even Steven here. We're gonna even out with you guys. You're not taking the Torah, chutzpah. You're not interested in my Torah. Okay, you know what? Hiter mamoinim shel goyim. Hiter mamoinim shel goyim. The Marsov says because the people that lived in Har Param, those are the people that asked. Every nation asked, and those didn't want to accept Lo Tirtzach. And Har Param, they didn't want to accept Lo Tigna. Oh, you don't want to accept Lo Tigna? Okay. Hiter mamoinim shel goyim.
And it's still paying today, Rabbi.
So now you have to realize that you have to balance this halacha out with another very simple halacha, which is that we'll cover this another time, and the Alter Rebbe is very machmir on this, which is it's also to steal from a goy equally as a Jew. It's also to steal even a shava pruta midiraisa. Midiraisa, it's also to steal. The same thing. And I know is also Chazal say to the extent that if a goy comes into a Jewish butcher shop and he knows that the goy is eating it for himself, he's not allowed to tell him it's kosher when it's treif. But he knows the guy is going to eat it. But the guy has a mishigas. Oh, kosher is bigger quality. Kosher. Oh, it's kosher. He'll pay a little extra for kosher. But we know what's the difference, kosher, not kosher. The lung had to get an extra little sircha. Well, come on. It's just as healthy. The Abisha said we're not allowed to eat it, so we not eat it. But the guy can eat it. No, if you sell it to him, it's 100% a isa deiraisa to do that. So there's a few things that don't apply to goyim. So the question is, so for example, last year there was a thing, a lot of boys in yeshiva were doing this. They're getting a scooter. They were getting from a few companies. So it was you're paying $1,700 for the scooter, and then they were doing a trick like this. Apparently, that once you activate the battery, you're not allowed to send it UPS. USPS.
You're not allowed to ship batteries.
You're not allowed to ship. So they activate the thing, use it for 2 hours, and then call up and say I don't like the product. I want to send it back.
It doesn't work anymore.
Yes, Yishkoyach for telling me the story.
Crown Heights.
So not only Crown Heights, you don't have to single out. Crown Heights is not the only place with Ganova. Baruch Hashem, there's another few places.
It's also refrigerators in Walmart.
Crown Heights doesn't have a monopoly on the Shigoyim. But what happened was that the thing was going around that some rabbis say it's kosher to do this, and other rabbis say it's not a hidden mitzvah to do it. Okay, so which rabbi said it was kosher? You know there's a Purim rabbi?
Why would they do it?
He's going to tell you.
I'm sorry, we got sidetracked. So basically, they would order the scooter, it would be delivered, they would activate the battery in the scooter, call up the company, say I want to return it. The company can't take it back because they can't ship it anymore. So the company says just keep the scooter. So what happened was every bocher and his friend did this.
That's why they will
finally the companies realized. So now there's a few
specific zip codes.
There are a couple of zip codes in the United States of America that they will not sell this merchandise in these zip codes. Really? They will not sell merchandise in these zip codes. It's more than a chil Hashem, it's Geneva. It's Geneva, what do you mean? So, what do you mean? The Alter Rebbe is very machmer when it comes to stealing from a goy. So, okay. But now, let's go one more thing here in Chosh Mishpat. Chosh Mishpat says like this. Siman Reish Chav Zayin Sif Chavav. Oivik Chavim Ein Loi Oino. There's a Jew, if you sell, and then you realize you overcharged him. So there's a concept of Oino that you have to return the money. A shtus, more than less, whatever. There's a concept of Oino that you have to straighten out if you overcharge the Jew. Shenem Ishes Ochiv. You didn't intentionally overcharge him. But it says that when ki tzimker mimker as al toinu ishasam we say, and if you did, you have to return the money. V'evik kachavim shahoinas Yisrael machzir einoa kidinim shalonu shalo yazachamer mi Yisrael. So if a goy accidentally overcharged a Jew, the goy has to pay. If a Jew overcharged the goy, he doesn't have to pay. So why? Because the pasuk says al toinu ish es ochiv.
the law of Ainah is only a man and his brother, a Jew. Intentionally, you're never allowed to steal from a guy. And if you stole from a guy, even if it was a transaction in business, you have to return the money. But if it was accidental and you overcharged him, and so you don't have to, you're not mechuyev to come back and give him the money. So frek de vil negoen. So it's the same thing. So if you don't have to, if the Torah says ishes achiv, this is only a rule between a Jew and another Jew. So why are you telling me if a guy overcharged me that I have the right to demand my money back? If the Torah says this rule of I know only works between a Jew and a Jew. So the Gerot says these words. I want to read it inside. V'afal gav shekosav atoisvus sham amad mashma dafke beinyan zeh shenagach. Tosfos says that this rule is only to do when there's damages between property, between a shoyer and a shoyer. She says, the Tosfos is lav dafke nagach ela lafuki ligza loisei bechinam. You're not allowed to steal for no reason from a goy. But if the possession of the goy is in your hands for a good reason, you didn't steal it, he gave it to you, it was a good reason, it wasn't bechinam, you stole from him. And now there's a question of a Noah, it's different. Okay, I want a little bit stretch this thing. So like this, I'm putting two and two together. So basically, if this person has a machine that he didn't steal, it was delivered to him. He didn't steal, he did nothing wrong. Now, after
he ordered it under the guise of
no, chas v'shalom, he wouldn't plan to steal. I'm not talking about the scooter. I'm going back to the sprouting machine. He had no intention of stealing. Now, he had his worker put in about $350, $400 of work. If he's going to go to the company and say, listen, I went to my rabbi, you can call him Rabbi Marsov, give his cell number, and it says, I had a skilled worker, this is how much I pay, I'll show you, I'll send you his W-2, I need my $400 back, and then I give you the machine. What do you think the company is going to say? Have a nice day, we didn't ask you to fix it. But it's a clear din of Shulchan Aruch. Now, the machine didn't come in his hand b'gneva. The machine never came in his hand b'gneva. So if it was a Jewish company, definitely you would have to have it out with them. You have no right to hold on to their machine, which they charge $3,500 just because you had a worker you paid him $350.
And they can fix it for $150, not $300.
Right, they have their own technicians, and they didn't ask you. But you have to have it out. But if it's a goyish company, and they're not going to listen to what the Bezdin says, and you never took their possession in your hand with ill intention.
Right.
No ill intention. It's not chas v'shalom like the scooters that he had. He just wants to sprout. He's in the business of. He's in the farming business. He's not in the business of stealing. So
he started to pick the second one. That means he had something in his mind to leave the second one.
Because he was upset that they're not picking it up. So he figured they're leaving it for him. So now they're chayiv to pay him the $350, and he never stole a piece from the goy. So perhaps he could hold on to it if the goy wants to pay him the $350. Otherwise, he never took possession of a goy's thing. The guy sent it to him. He never did it the Gneva, and now the guy definitely owes him, according to Shulchan Aruch, a certain amount of money. We have to estimate how much. 350, 150. We can argue about how much they have to pay, but there's no question of din that they have to pay.
Is there a din of a shomer for a guy's object? Does a yid ever have a din of a shomer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if he took it upon himself shemira, l'choyre, he has the din of shemira. Yeah, l'choyre.
Yeah. I'm saying so. What would this shomer? What type of shomer would he be the minute he gets the box from the guy? Is he a shomer chinam or shomer? What is he? Shleicher?
Probably a shomer chinam. Probably once it's a new box, it's probably a shomer chinam. He has no purpose to know. It's like a mitzvah. If it was a Jew, maybe it's a shomer socher because
the shomer chinam is not allowed to start working on the guy's goat.
Yeah, but
let's say he wants to shave the goats. He wants a shayfer, and he starts taking off the goat's horn or something.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not allowed to really check with a shayfer that's being shomer on.
Yeah, but
no, I'm saying if it was a yid to a yid.
Yeah, but if he did and he was mashbiach it, he could demand to be paid for it, which is an unbelievable halacha.
Yeah,
and legally, this does not stand. I was once involved in the Din Torah, was two from Yidden, and the one side thought that they were 100% right. It was just a matter of going to Bezdin. I said, no, you're not winning. You're going to lose. He said, but he printed all the papers legally. I said, just because you own the store and just because you own and just nothing. But that guy put in work to fix up the storefront, and you're going to re-rent it to someone else, and you think that just because, and he lost in Bezdin. He lost. Bezdin said was Yodel Tezdei Chavei.
Rabbi, what about?
And even though legally he would have won 100%. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Rabbi, what about the idea that these days with marketplaces, you're abstracted from the owner. You don't really know who you're transacting with. So isn't there?
So,
doesn't
yeah.
there
No, it has
that it's
to.
you?
No, he tells me he knows it's a goy. He knows it's a goy.
How does it know? Like
How does
say
it- I don't know.
Amazon, eBay. all
It's
these
not Amazon.
marketplaces.
It's a small company. These companies are not huge
Oh, that's
companies.
different.
Sprouting companies. They're not internationally. Yeah, it's a niche.
Okay, one second.
Sprouted.
I just want to
Oh.
say that the intention really is the picture here. So the intention for that scam with the scooters, it's in.
It's
what-
Gnevitz. Also, it's like eating a cheeseburger.
Right. Exactly.
I understand, but the
It's agreement.
intention is the key in that situation. If, let's say, for example, the first bacher who did it,
Oh,
didn't
no.
realize.
Yeah, he never had intention to be goizel b'chinam. He wanted to buy a scooter,
It was tax broken.
and or it wasn't. He doesn't like it. He decided that yeshiva has a rule against scooters, and he wants to. He didn't realize the yeshiva has a rule against scooters, or he realized that he's eating cholent Shabbos, and then it's not burning off because he's on the scooter instead of walking to yeshiva. Whatever.
Exactly.
It's a good melamed
Yeah. Okay. Now, so since we're talking about the sprouting machine, let's answer your question. A kid came over to me in shul. This was with a picture from one of these kids magazines, and it shows how vegetables are planted, and they're not planted in the ground. They have these greenhouses, hydraulic planting, and kid says, he asked the question. The kid showed me this. I don't know where I misplaced. It was cute. The kid brought me the picture, it shows exactly how they have these dishes and the waters and exactly how until you have your final big thing of lettuce. And the boy asked, Rabbi, is this shahakal or hadama? Is this shahakal or hadama?
It doesn't grow on the ground.
Because it's not growing in the ground.
Hydroponic.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So hydroponics. So the boy learned all about this, and he said, "Wow." So the lettuce that we're buying now, there's certain companies like there's several companies today, Bodek, other companies. So some of them actually buy regular lettuce and they check them. They have team of mashgichim and they check them. They wash them and they check them. Others, no, they grow them in a technological advanced way that they're clean to begin with.
That's what Gush Katif was.
That was
Until it was shut down.
okay.
But it
So
was in the ground. It wasn't
right,
away.
yeah. Gush Katif.
Hydroponics.
Shut
It was
down.
all in the ground.
Give it away.
Whatever word you like. I don't want to.
Oh.
It was in the ground.
That brings us, this is the mother question to the question that was asked last week. Last week the question was asked, what's the bracha on yezikiel bread? Oh, so let me explain the question. They take the wheat, first of all, I just want to give you my criticism of yezikiel bread. There's a Jewish company and they have yezikiel 9.4. It's a good product, but I would never label my product that way, because if anyone's going to open a Tanakh, yezikiel 9.4, he's going to quickly return, if he can still return the product, because it says in Yecheskel that the Eibusha told Yecheskel says the Eibusha told him that the Yidden are going to be starving and they're going to have terrible. The worst food is going to be their food.
That's what it says.
Yeah, he should take lechem chito, so'oiro, pool, and doichen, and kusmin, and only the garbage stuff, and ground it up and make bread.
And they're proud.
And that's bread. It'll be a symbol that the Jews Nebuch in the time of the
Why do they
Churban,
use that quote?
They don't know.
they're not thinking that you're going to open your chizka. It looks good. Yezikiel 9.4. Look at all the kosher stores.
What's the difference gefilte fish with bread? Also, might.
No,
If
no,
you found
well,
out.
no.
He's
About
gonna
him.
explain it.
So what happens? They take the wheat, and this machine that I'm talking to you about is the machine that they use, and then they put in the wheat or the barley, and it germinates. So the question is this chita like chita that came from the ground, or this chita is not chita that came from the ground? This question is a lesser question than the first question. My first question is, if you plant something, if you plant a lemon tree in a flower pot, or you plant lettuce in a flower pot, or you're planting it not even in a flower pot which has sand, which is adoma. You have no adoma. There's no adoma. There's only water in this dish, and you're planting lettuce here. What's the bracha in it? Or if you have indoor planting for seeds, and they're all in pots. So, which is before even sprouts. Sprouts as it grew in the ground, and then you put it in the machine for it to sprout. But sometimes they grow it to begin with, not in the ground. They grow it in a dish. So that's the question.
The wheat germs originally was grown in the ground, right?
Yes.
Okay, so so if you take a grape, you want to press that grape to get grape juice. Now you have the pressed grape, which is still tasty. Can you still make a bred on the grape?
Yeah.
So over here too, the thing sprouted, but it's still mezainis. It's just like it's still dogging. Just like the
That's
grape.
why I'm saying it's a lesser shaila. My
But
big
if-
shaila
so-
is
yeah, but
if
if-
you actually grew it in
Right,
a
now
dish.
but how do you grow it in a dish originally? Where does it come? It come from something that was originally also in the ground.
Apparently, what do you mean?
Can't
First,
come Yishmael and
no.
have it.
First of all, even the days of the Shas, they used to
What
take
germinated?
sand
What's germinated?
and put it.
A piece of mezainis.
Yeah,
Dogging.
but they
So
take
it's
sand and put it in a
originally-
flower pot.
But the dog was originally from the ground. Originally the
Huh?
dog was from the ground. Even if it
If
germinates,
you eat it, the question is
it's
now
still-
they dried it, they ground it, and they made it into flour, and the flour is made into bread. So that's the shaila, is it turn into a moitzi? Yeah, it should turn into a moitzi, just like regular flour. If you have
exactly.
wheat, you make adoma, and then once you grind the wheat, if you eat the wheat gum, that's adoma. But if you take later the same wheat and you dry it, and then you grind it, you make it into flour, you mix it with water, and you bake it. That's what they do.
Grounding sprouts comes back to
Hamoitzi. That's the question I'm asking. That's my question. I do think it's hamoitzi, and that's what I said last week. And I think it was a confusion a little bit maybe 30 years ago. I looked online yesterday, and there is a machloikis between some of the kashrus organization of the Chahakal or hamoitzi. I think it's 100% hamoitzi, but I'll get to it at the end. My main question is anything that grows today not in the ground. Things that are growing not in the ground anymore. A lot of things are not growing anymore in the ground. They're not growing in the ground. So they're growing in dishes. So shaila is they're in pots. They're growing in pots.
You go down to Whole Foods, Third Avenue, they have a whole garden on the roof.
Right, and garden on the roof maybe is a little less a shaila, but is also
Is
a
there
shaila if
fiddler
it's a
there
shaila.
Lettuce, all kinds of stuff on the roof.
Yep.
Without a fiddler, there's no fiddler there.
No.
On the walls too.
Whole
On the walls
Foods,
too.
Third Avenue.
Go on the walls.
Big supermarket.
Okay, let's go
Don't
into
buy
the
Amazon.
answer.
Don't buy Amazon.
The Gemara says in bracha is Ochel tevel u'maiser. A person that ate tevel. The Mishnah says in the beginning of Shloisha Shachla, if a person eats tevel, then you can't. Three people can't get together and make a zimun if they ate tevel. Tevel is grain that they didn't take truma and maiser from this grain. So the Gemara says tevel pshita. Is the chadava pashut? What are you talking about? This is not kosher food. He's eating not kosher food. So the Gemara says lo tzricha betevel tovel derabanan. Because it's the Rabbanon, it's Tevel the Rabbanon. So how could it be that things are growing from the and the Tevel is only the Rabbanon? So the Gemara answers, it was planted in a pot that has no hole in it, so it's not connected to the ground, and therefore it's only Tevel the Rabbanon. So it sounds like the problem is that you didn't take Trumas and Meiseres. Had you taken the Trumas and Meiseres, no problem. You'd bench, you'd make a zimun, there's no issue. The problem was that you didn't take the Trumas and the Meiseres, and it's in Israel, and you have to take Trumas and Meiseres in Israel, and he didn't take Trumas and Meiseres, so therefore you can't bench, because the Gemara says, Ein ze mevorach ela menatz. If you're eating non-kosher food, you don't make a bracha. Because that's not called a bracha. That's not thanking Hashem. That's cursing Hashem. Abisha says, "Don't eat the cheeseburger," and you're going to eat, and you say, and you're going to wash. and make al netilas yadayim and make hamoitzi lechem min haaretz. You can't do that. Same thing tevel. In Israel, things that they have to have trumas amaisres, and midirabonon has to have trumas amaisres even if it's not in the ground, but in a pot. So since it was grown in a flower pot and you ate it, you don't make a bracha. But if you did take the trumas amaisres, you would be no problem to make the bracha. But we see it was in a flower pot. Maybe you shouldn't bench because it's coming from a flower pot. So we see from this Gemara that that's what all the pois can bring. That even it's in the flower pot that you make birchas hamazon.
I mean, when we say amoitzi lechem in oretz, if you take oretz and put it into a pot, it's still oretz.
Water is not.
Oh, so
I mean, the amoitzi lechem in oretz, it has the same. The reason why it sprouts to begin with is because the ground has this power that they have. Like it says in Tanya,
It's not sprouting in the ground. It's not in the ground.
No, it is in the ground. It's the same ground. Amoitzi in oretz. The Abishah gave a nace, that ground that when something rots in the ground, it sprouts. So what's the chiluk? It's the zelba plant. It's the zelba thing. If you take the mass that was in there and you now put it in a pot, it's the same bread. It's the exact same thing. What's the difference?
let's do a little more. Let's do the Yerushalmi.
Oh, is that a svara?
That's a good svara. The Yerushalmi talks about this. This is the Hevi Raim Yerushalmi. The Stei Chemed brings. I'm sorry. The next paragraph. Bracha Rishonas. Stei Chemed paskins like this: that if the last bracha is birchas hamazon, the male of the first bracha has to be amoitzi, and he brings that out from the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says, "Toni kolcha oimer acharav gimel brachas oimer lefanav amoitzi lachem in aretz. Kolcha ein lacharav gimel brachas oimer lefanav amoitzi lachem in aretz." If you say afterwards gimel brachas, that's you're benching, then before you make amoitzi. The Alter Rebbe brings this la'aloch and Shulchan Aruch, this idea. Not an absolute. The Alter Rebbe says you should try to match up the bracha. If it's mezonos, it should be alamichya. If it's amoitzi, it should be birchas hamazon. So this Dei Chemed holds that there's no question b'chlal that it's birkas hamazon and amoitzi and that's it. Yeah. Now the svara that you just said, that's the Yerushalmi. Tony otzat sheini nokuv. The Yerushalmi says like this: a flower pot that has no hole in it, maseroisav ma'alocha. The meiser that you take from this grain is only a halacha, which the Pnei Moshe, which is a Mefodish, says means it's the Rabbonon. And the truma is not real truma, therefore if it gets mixed up, you don't count it. It's not real. It's not real trumas and meisers. Rabbi Yossi boy mal loimer al pito yamoitze lechem in the oretz. This is mamish. The Yerushalmi asked this question: if you have made bread out of wheat that grew in a flower pot, would you make hamoitze lechem in the oretz on this bread or not? Rabbi Yoina boy. Kain delas betolush hu l'schach ketolush b'schach. Rabbi Yoina said, my question is differently. If you have vegetables and they're going out of a flower pot and you grow it on top of your sukkah, you can't have. There can't be gedulim in the oretz. It has to be cut off from the ground. But since it's not in the ground, it's in a flower pot and it's growing on my sukkah. Is it kosher schach or not? That's what Rabbi Yoina asked. So the Pnei Moshe says that the question was like this: that because midirabonon you have to have truma meiser, so it should be amoitze lechem in oretz. Who made the brachas amoitze lechem? The rabbonon, and they said that anything that grows in a flower pot that's to have trumas meisers. So therefore, you should make a amoitze lechem in oretz, or maybe not. Rabbi Yossi had a shaila. Rabbi Yoina said, to me, it's no question. 100% it's amoitzi. My question is only like a sukkah, because a sukkah has to have schach min ha-Torah. So now the question is, if it's in a flower pot, is that considered schach or not? Because
it's not
is it considered
why should it be any difference than amoitzi? Why should it be any difference than the bracha?
No, because according to Pnei Moshe, because amoitzi is the rabbonon and the rabbonon, just like the rabbonon said.
No, but the bracha is the rice.
Oh, because that's the funny thing. I don't understand why the maforshim.
Yeah.
So I would say that the machlok is really the Bavli and the Yerushalmi, but the Bavli holds that you make a birchas hamazon, so mameli you make a moitzi, so it's no question.
Yeah.
But for some reason, a lot of the poskim are very stuck on this Yerushalmi. So some of them say, look, the Yerushalmi, Rabbi Yossi had a suffix. Rabbi Yoina already answered the suffix. So it's hamoitzi. And if it's vegetables, it's adoma. And if it's fruits from a tree that's in a flower pot, sometimes they have flower pots in the house. They have lemons, they have oranges. People have in their house.
It's 100% bred priya eitz. That's what some poskim say. But the Chaye Yodam, he's against that. He has a big problem with this. He has a whole because he says some say the Yerushalmi differently, and they have a very funny different pshat in the Yerushalmi. And he comes out to say like this, that anything that any wheat that's going in a flower pot, the bracha is mazoinus, and any fruits.
What about bread?
Is any vegetables are shahakal. Basically, any vegetables that come out of a dish are shahakal according to the Chayyodam.
And what about a bread that you?
In 1 second, we'll get the yezikiel bread at the end. I first want to clarify. So the bottom line is, if you go with the Chayyodam, things that grow out of a dish, you have to take every bracha separately. Adama is really a shahakal, and if it's fruit, it's really a eitz, and if it's grain, it's somewhere in the middle. Instead of amoitz, it's mazayin. It's very complicated. But I would like to go with this deichemet because it seems to me much more logical and straightforward, and less complicated. Also, could you imagine if you accept the Chayyodam, you have to find out bodek, positive, this one, that one, all these companies. Some of them, so all of a sudden, some vegetables are adama and some vegetables are shahakal. There's no end to the problem there. Half the vegetables, half the vegetables on your table are coming from the ground, so half are coming from pots.
What about growing on water? It should be different.
And so I say that to go simplistically with this, and also it's not, you're not saying it's something that's not true. The Eibishter is moitzi lechem min haaretz, and the Eibishter is, it's true. Hashem brings out stuff min adama. So also someone just mentioned a svara that the lapoil, the koyach to grow comes from the ground. So we don't know exactly how it works, but the koyach to grow yeah. So bottom line is, if you want to go with the Chayyodam, you have to know each thing is different. But if you want to go with this deichemet, you could make now. If you want, the Mishnah Berurah doesn't talk about it. The Alter Rebbe doesn't talk about it. Many poskim don't talk about it because it wasn't that relevant. The Mishnah Berurah in Radin, they didn't have greenhouses in Radin.
What about Rav Moshe? Who's contemporary?
I didn't see. I tried. I looked. I didn't see.
Rav Kahana,
But back to the sprout. Chassidus has this thing about yesh me yesh and yesh me yayin. Chassidus says that when you put a seed in the ground, it rots, and then the koyach tzameach in the ground makes that it should grow. And that's like a mushal for yesh me yayin, something from nothing. Because that's what Chassidus says, that when I eat this bottle to the Eibush, that all of a sudden the unbelievable spiritual growth. If you're building on yourself, I'm a great guy, I'm smart, and I'm going to organize my life, you can grow. You can have sprouted wheat, sprouted barley. From 1 pound you get 3 pounds. But if you want a real growth, it has to be nafshi ka'ofer lakel tia and then psach libi b'soyrasecha. You have to be bottled and ganzen to the Eibishter, and then the Eid grows. That's what Chassidus says. So what are you telling me? This is something that someone just said now. What are you telling me? This is not, the sprouts is not growing new. It's just that the actual thing. That's whatever. So therefore, it germinates. Therefore, I think there's no question in my mind that just because it germinated means nothing. The bracha is hamoitze lechem in the haaretz and birkas hamazon. There's no question at all. Now in yezikiel bread, because they put in other ingredients in it, so you have to be careful in order to bench that you can't look at a kazayas as a regular slice of bread. A regular slice of bread, flour and water.
It's one dough.
Yeah, here they put in. It's like.
But it's not. It's not kneaded together.
It is. But still, you have to do a little more. No, still. But the Gemara says there's only a few things that become bottled to the grains. Like rice is such a weak character that it becomes like a chelik of the grain. But other things don't become from chameshes aminim. Although you make a moitzi, you have to eat a little more in order to make sure that you have a full kazayas.
So how much more?
Yes. Looking at the ingredient,
a regular dough, when you add water, it seems like it's 50-50, right?
Right. And
so,
here,
but we never say that,
right?
So,
but here you're adding, right? The water gets bottled to it, but this is mamish something different. But if you look at the ingredients, it's about
50-50.
It's about 50-50.
What about rye bread?
So
That's pretty pure grain. I mean,
That's what I'm saying, right? That's a kazayis, But here you have to eat a little more to bench.
Like 2 slices.
Yeah, but
Do we know what? Do we know what the
I don't know
ratio
what the
is?
ratio is. I was just looking at the thing, and there's like 10 things in it, and about half the things are really from the chamesh's minedoga. They have wheat and they have barley and they have
Millet?
millet in there, and what's it called? No, buckwheat is a and they have kusmin, spelt in there. So they do have a lot of the 5 grains in there. So just if you eat even a drop, you make a moitzi. But in order to bench, you have to eat double the kazayas, and then you can bench. And all the other things, if you just want to follow the whatever is nishgeferlach, if you want to follow a simplistic halacha, the Sdei Chemed was a god. Usually he quotes from others. This happens to be his own feeling. You should know the Sdei Chemed was a goan and a tzaddik in an unbelievable way.
So what did he say? What did Sdei Chemed say? What did he say?
The Sdei Chemed happened to be an unbelievable connection to Lubavitch. What was his connection? He lived in the Rebbe Rashab's house in Hebron, and the Rebbe published the Sefer. Now we know that. So when
Charlotte was the name. Charlotte was
let me
the
tell the
name.
story. You were going to tell the story?
Charlotte was the name of the Sefer.
Tell the story. So the Rebbe published. The Rebbe published it because his father told him to publish the Sdei Chemed. Sdei Chemed is an encyclopedia. They're working today on encyclopedia on the Shas. They're working already 30 years, and it'll take them another 30 years. And in Mitzvah Hashem, they'll be done. This guy was brilliant. He was like a goin otzim. He wrote 10 svarim. It's not as organized. I mean, that's why they're making out some. But this guy was a goin otzim. And just like the early Yisrael, they said that they go to a svarim store, the guy wouldn't let him read it because if he's going to read the book, he doesn't have to buy it anymore. So this guy was one of those guys.
What's his name? Sdei Chemed.
Reb Cheskia Dimidini. He was Sfardi. 100% Sfardi.
Sure.
And-
Charlotte with the name.
And-
That's
What year was that?
So,
What year is it?
he passed away about 100 years ago. So the Rebbe So the Rebbe worked on publishing these books. When the Rebbe finally finished volume 10, the Rebbe came down to Fabrengen. The Rebbe wasn't Rebbe then; he was the son-in-law of the Friedrich Rebbe, and he was excited. He was working on this project. Can you imagine what kind of project it is to publish this? So someone asked the Rebbe maybe he could say something from the Sdei Chemed. So the Rebbe said, no problem.
Where do you want it?
Exactly. Tell me which page you want me to talk about. Tell me which page you want me to talk about. So the person said a page, and the Rebbe spoke about it.
Wow.
So
It's
that's
like a very rare
That's a very rare-
Megal or something.
I know.
It takes one to know one.
unusual.
It takes one to know one. The Rebbe was.
yeah, this is the story you want to tell. Okay, but kids, so one more Shiloh, it's a few
But it's
seconds.
very rare that the Rebbe would
That would ever do such a thing.
ask someone to challenge him.
Yeah.
Maybe because he was so much said he once told his son he challenged his son to do it.
Right, so then it's a shim. Yeah, right.
That's what you mean.
One more Shiloh. Someone called me up this week. It's sad. Nebuch, it happens that the Kohen Gadol goes out of the Beis Hamikdash, and one of the main things he asks is that a woman shouldn't have a miscarriage. His wife had a miscarriage, and it was already after 10 weeks of pregnancy. So she went for a DNC, and which was a good idea. They flush out everything right away. So otherwise, if a woman doesn't do a DNC, she'll become Tahira L'Bayla. It'll take forever. And the pain and the agmas nefesh. So it was a good idea. She did a DNC, and that's it. So she could do a hefsekaida that day, and go to the mikveh 7 days later. So his question was like this: they had done sonogram plus blood work, and it was this baby was male. So that was the unfortunately whatever. That's what happened. So now his question was: could his wife do a hefsekaida and go to the mikveh? Let me read quickly the halacha. It says, if a woman has a baby, the golden rule ain't psichas hakever below dam. There's such a thing. The fact is, a lot of blood comes out, but even theoretically, not a drop of blood comes out. She's tomei. Ben yol dechai, ben yol demeis. Afil neifel. Vakamei meitamos. Achshu bezman hazeh. Kol hayoldes chashuvas yoldes bezoid. B'tzirich alisper. The Torah says for a boy you have to wait 7 days, and for a girl 14 days. So if a woman has a miscarriage, you have to know if it was male or female.
Zayin l'zochav yudal l'nekevim, loyrosam oilum l'sfiris yivosav, vim sholmo zayin l'nekiyim b'toyich yudal l'nekeva, and eza asura ad leil tazvav, vim tov l'koyin l'chim le'oltz l'tfila. She can go to the mikveh before that. So now the question was, this baby was male, so maybe you should say that you can go to the mikveh before 15 days. If you don't know if it's male or female, so like this week's Parsha, we learned from Matan Torah that they have to wait 3 days before the women could go to the mikveh. Our minig is for Ashkenazim. Sephardim is slightly differently. We'll talk about it in the Wednesday night shir, because I'm giving a refresher course in Hilchos Nidna. I don't want to get stuck on it. Ashkenazim, doesn't matter, you can stand on your head. When a woman sees even a drop of blood or has a kesem, you have to wait 5 days. We learn it from the story of Matan Torah, this week's Parsha. You have to wait really 3 days. We have a suffix, this, so we do it 5 days, and then the woman does a half sektara and wait 7 days. So altogether it's 12 days. You never get less than that. If a woman sees for a long time, then sometimes she has a problem getting pregnant, because by the time she gets out of mikveh, she's way after. So she ovulates, and then by the time she gets anyway. But that's the story. If you're Ashkenazi, there's never less than 12 days till she comes out of the mikveh. So really, the question over here was on 2 days. So the question was in my mind, since they know from blood work that this baby's male, so why wait until the 15th day to go to the mikveh? You could have 5 plus 7, so you have 12 days, and you go to the mikveh. So the difference is not so big; it's a difference of 2 days. But that was the question. Anyway, a sonogram would be a weak argument, because we know a lot of times that women report they were told it's male or female, and then after the birth it's the other gender. But blood work is very high. This is if she's a woman and the male chromosome, what's going on in her blood? It's 99%. If they take her blood, and there's so we know it's a boy. But still, I don't know. I think it's a complicated question. It's a very complicated question to say that we rely on the blood work to ascertain. Chazal say that when there is a miscarriage, you have to check the baby, see if it's male or female. And if you don't know if it's male or female, you have to wait 14 days.
Like a female.
Right, like a female. So now to say that you'd look on the blood work,
You mean with the DNA you're talking about?
I don't want to go down there. That's the problem where I don't want to go.
Yeah.
So DNA of who's a Kohen, DNA of who's a Jew. But you could make an argument for this. I would say this: if you want to be Mekel, you have to be like the Noida B'Yehuda. I am not Noida B'Yehuda. So nowhere close to that. So I said, never mind. Just wait another 2 days. It's almost another 2 days. It's not like a woman after going through such a. No, it's another 2 days question. She'd have. No, it was after 40 days. The Shulchan Aruch says that if the miscarriage is after 40 days is when all these halachas take place. It's 10 weeks. So even though they calculate a little wrong, but if you have 10 weeks pregnancy already after 40 days, so I said, okay, listen, we have to wait till Mashiach to come to ask Mashiach this question. Even if you're going to tell me that Taka Yashir says that DNA will not work for Kohen Levi Yisrael and for Jew and for Gentile, but maybe blood work would work, because Chazal tell you that when you have the baby, you should check between the legs of male and female. Okay, so what's if you didn't, but you did a thing and you saw inside that the blood is 99%. What do you mean? How does the woman have in her blood male chromosome when she's female? It's Elamai. I don't think that this is something for me to pass. Anyway, it's a 2-day question. It's a question: should she go to anyway? She has to wait 5 days plus 7 days. So now she'll wait another 2 days. Okay, she'll wait another 2 days. More information about this Sheilos, we'll touch on this on Wednesday night. That no old Jewish women should be, that they shouldn't chas v'sholom ever have miscarriages. Yidden should have big families, and they should be gadol all the children. The Torah, the chuppah, the ma'asim tovim.
Amen.